Welcome to my class of cyber security. Today we will learn about SMTP, DNS and POP3. Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. SMTP is an internet standard for electronic mail, email transmission. SMTP is a communication protocol for electronic mail transmission. As an internet standard, SMTP was first defined in 1982 by RFC and updated in 2008, which is the protocol variety in widespread use today. Mail servers and other message transfer agents use SMTP to send and receive mail messages. It is first defined in 1982 by RFC 821. SMTP becomes widely used in early 1980s. At the time, it was a complement to Unix copy program mail, which was better suited for handling email transfers between machines that were intermittently connected. User level email client typically use SMTP only for sending messages to a mail server for relaying and typically submit outgoing email to the server on different ports. SMTP is a TCP/IP protocol used in sending and receiving email. Users typically use a program that uses SMTP for sending email and either POP3 or IMAP for receiving email. This is the concept of SMTP. The user sends to sender by using SMTP protocol. The process can be explained as email is submitted by a mail client to a mail server using SMTP on TCP port 587. Most mailbox providers still allow submission on traditional port 25. The MSA delivers the mail to its mail transfer agent. Often these two agents are instances of the same software launched with different options on the same machine. Local processing can be done either on a single machine or split among multiple machines. Mail agent processes on one machine can share files, but if processing is on multiple machines, mail agent processes on one machine can share file. But if processing is on multiple machines, they transfer messages between each other using SMTP, where each machine is configured to use the next machine as a smart host. Working SMTP is a simple ASCII protocol that is based on client-server model. After establishing the TCP connection, the sending machine operating as the client waits for the receiving machine operating as the server to talk first. The server starts by sending a line of text giving its identity and telling whether or not it is prepared to receive mail. If it is not, the client releases the connection and tries again later. If the server is willing to accept email, the client announces whom the email is coming from and destination. The server gives the client the go ahead to send the message. Then the client sends the message and server acknowledges it. Now we will learn about domain name system or DNS. DNS allows host on TCP/IP network. It is the first stop in DNS lookup. DNS to be addressed by its name. DNS automatically converts the name we type in our web browser address bar to the IP address of web server hosting site. If we consider the following address internet.w3school.com, then host name is internet, after dot it is organization or domain name, and .com is top level. In DNS, the DNS resolver is the first stop in DNS lookup, and it is responsible for dealing with the client that made the initial request. The resolver starts the sequence of queries that ultimately leads to a URL being translated into the necessary IP address. A typical uncached DNS lookup will involve both recursive and iterative queries. It is important to differentiate between a recursive DNS query and a recursive DNS resolver. The query refers to the request made to a DNS resolver requiring the resolution of the query. A DNS recursive resolver is the computer that accepts a recursive query and processes the response by making the necessary request. DNS includes a network protocol for memorizing host name and address through a distributed database. All the top level domain delegates authority for second level domain and a database of registered name server for all second level domain monitored by the National Network Information System. DNS server. There are different types of DNS servers available. We can install any of them as per our requirement. It is of three types: primary, secondary. Primary, locally stored files exist on the name server database. Secondary, gets data called a zone transfer from another server, that is the zone authority. Now we come to DNS tools. What are the tools that are used in DNS? Who is? It tells you the owner and primary DNS servers associated with a domain, also available via web browser at www.networksolution.com. Second DNS tool is NSLookup and Host on Unix machine. It tells about the IP address information for a particular host name on the internet. Example, NSLookup or host. Now we come to DNS queries. A DNS query packet is formed at the application layer. DNS is unique as it can utilize either UDP/IP or TCP/IP to send a message. It uses UDP by default if message is 2-bit, that is less than 512 byte. It will use TCP. In a typical DNS lookup, three types of queries occur. By using a combination of these queries, an optimized process for DNS resolution can result in a reduction of distance traveled. In an ideal situation, cached record data will be available, allowing a DNS name server to return a non-recursive query. Actually, we can categorize the DNS query as three types. First is recursive query. In a recursive query, a DNS client requires that a DNS server will respond to the client with either the requested resource record or an error message if the resolver can't find the record. Second one is iterative query. In this situation, DNS client will allow a DNS server to return the best answer it can. If the queried DNS server does not have a match for query name, it will return a referral to a DNS server authoritative for a lower level of domain namespace. The DNS client will then make a query to the referral address. This process continues with additional DNS servers down the query chain until either an error or timeout occurs. Third type of query is non-recursive query. Typically, this will occur when a DNS resolver client queries a DNS server for a record that it has access to either because it is authoritative for the record to exist inside of its cache. Typically, a DNS server will cache DNS record to prevent additional bandwidth consumption and load on upstream servers. Now we will learn another protocol which is called POP3 or Post Office Protocol. In the Post Office Protocol, it is an application layer internet standard protocol working on application layer used by local email software to retrieve email from a remote mail server over a TCP/IP connection. The Post Office Protocol provides access via an Internet Protocol network for a user client application to a mailbox maintained on a mail server. The protocol supports download and delete operation for message. POP3 clients connect, retrieve all message, store them on the client computer, and finally delete them from the server. The design of POP and its procedure was driven by the need of users having only temporary internet connection such as dial-up access, allowing these users to retrieve email when connected and subsequently to view and manipulate the retrieved messages when offline. History of POP. Post Office Protocol has been updated 2 times since it was established. The first version of Post Office Protocol, POP 1, was specified in RFC 918 and it was published in the year 1984. Then comes POP 2, which was specified in RFC 1937 and it was published in the year 1985. Then comes POP 3. It was published in the year 1988. POP 3 is the version in most common use. It originated with RFC 1081, but the most recent specification is RFC 1939. It is updated with an extension mechanism and an authentication mechanism. This led to a number of POP implementation such as Pine, POP Mail, and other early mail clients. While the original POP3 specification supported only an encrypted user login mechanisms, today POP3 supports several authentication methods to provide varying level of protection against illegitimate access to a user's email. Most are provided by POP3 extension mechanisms. How does POP work? Incoming messages are stored at POP server until the user logs in using an email client and downloads the message to their computer. After user downloads the message, it is deleted from the server. While SMTP is used to transfer email messages from server to server, POP is used to collect mail within an email client from a server and does not include means to send messages. So this is the working of post office protocol. Now this is the diagram how incoming emails are coming to server and stored until requested by client. It is sent to client once the request comes and then they are removed from the server. What are the advantages of POP? For receiving emails only on single devices, POP3 is useful. POP3 does not require an internet connection for accessing the download mails. This is the advantages of POP. Now the disadvantages of POP. POP is a limited protocol that lets the email program do nothing but download messages to the computer or device with an option to keep a copy on the server for future download. With POP, it is not possible to access the same email account from multiple computers or devices and have actions synchronized between them.